Ooh. Oh, I just started getting a clue. Really? Yeah, I'm totally getting a clue.
Flat Earth Clues Part 1, The Empty Theater. This is part of a series of clues that can help you get your head around both the design of the flat Earth system we live in and who has been involved in the deception to hide it from you.
Right. That sure is a mystery. Yeah, it sounds super hard.
I'd like to welcome my guest, Mark Sargent. Welcome, Mark.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks for having me.
I'm really excited. So how did this come into your awareness?
This came out into my awareness out of sheer boredom.
Okay.
It was proposed, by Copernicus and others that using some very leap of faith math projections. Saying, yeah, if this is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour and going through space at 60,000 miles an hour, then yeah, you can build a solar system, and that's what our world looks like. And that stuck because why not? It's like
Ooh. I think I'm getting a clue. Really? Yeah, this is totally giving me a clue right now.
But once they jumped on board, and people, because actually, from an image point of view, this is pretty cool. No question. It's a lot cooler than a disc. You can, it's spherical. People completely identify it, with the whole spherical thing.
Oh, I'm starting to get a clue too. My clue's kind of pointing this way. Oh, yeah, no, I've got a total clue.
What I initially did, because I came from a computer game design background, I initially went in saying, okay, I still don't buy it. I'm still not on board completely, but what I'll do is I will try to create the design of the flat model, the enclosed world. And if I get to any point in that where something just does not jive, I'm just going to abandon the whole thing and say it's crap, and people shouldn't listen to this ever again.
I've still got a raging clue.
How do we explain the movement of the sun across the sky and the equinox, solstices, seasons, and tides?
Got it. I'll lump it all up in one thing.
Okay.
Stars, planets, sun, moon. Okay, we'll break it in two sections real quick. Stars and the planets, they are projected. They are not there. They are a beautiful, beautiful image. You can look at them. I encourage people to go out and stare at the stars. They're great. The moon is being projected on. I do not know what the moon is, and a lot of people don't either. The sun appears to be a projection system of its own.
My clue's pointing over there now. Oh, let's follow that clue.
How far away? It could be, as far as I know, a light bulb in a cage. I hate to say it.
If the Earth is flat, then where does the heat come from? Is the sun
good
even
one.
hot?
Good one. You mean the heat from? Most of the temperature is underneath. You can control it. It's all the temperature mechanisms are going to be below us. Yeah, the sun's going to give off some heat, obviously, but no more than a big light bulb in a. I know it sounds cheesy, but a big light bulb in a big area like a terrarium. You can do so much more below than you can above. So the short answer to that, as far as where does the heat come from, I think mostly below with the system. That's how I would do it.
Oh, that's giving me a clue. Yeah, I've got a raging clue right now.
You got it. Again, it's tough to get your head around, but if you're building an enclosed system that's 8,000 miles across, what can't you do? People are saying, oh, well, how you do this? Are you kidding? If you built the actual structure, the things you can do, think of the things we can do now. And multiply that by 100,000, and that's really what you got here. So.
Yeah.
Mine's pointing to the left. Oh, Frank, seriously? I have such a raging clue right now?
Okay, why on different parts? So that would be the seasons, I guess. Why on different parts of the planet warmer than others?
Same sort of thing. The systems, if everything's based on temperature, it's kind of like when people ask me about gravity. It's like, look, in an enclosed system, because an enclosed system is so much easier to maintain, you can make gravity any way you want, and you can make the temperature anywhere you want, anywhere. All you have to do is you make sure you sync it up with whatever's happening in the sky, because people automatically, it's like, well, if the sun's in this part of the sky, it's going to be a colder time of the year. You just got to make sure that's consistent. And everything's pretty good at that point. But seasons just temperature. That's a cakewalk. You don't even have to try that hard for seasons.
I think we better follow it. Okay, let's follow your raging clue.
What about the satellite tracking app? Is that a fine?
No. I got you. What about it?
Ooh. Oh, I just started getting a clue. Really? Yeah, I'm totally getting a clue.
And the tides and everything are due to a different cause? And we're told it's the moon,
tides are not affected by the moon. It can't be. Not if it's even if it's a three-dimensional object. It wouldn't. It's not big enough to do it. It's all controlled below, not necessarily by the temperature, but by some sort of gravity system, using probably, I don't know, molecular magnetism of some kind. Something easy. Something that could be done.
It's been awesome. Thank you so much.
I've still got a raging clue. My clue's pointing over there now. Oh, let's follow that clue.
So who better to bring on board today than our very up-and-coming, quick-rising star, Mark Sargent. Serious. And he and I were just talking about, isn't it interesting that literally overnight there's been a flurry of information and people connecting with one another regarding the flat Earth. There's no accident to this.
No, it can't be. I've never seen such traction over a topic that should not be getting any traction whatsoever.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm also noticing, which we'll bring up later, that there's a little bit of friction amongst the flat earther people.
Little bit, but as of today, that may be mending.
Good. I'm glad to see that. We don't need that.
No, we don't. And just let me know when you want me to talk about that, and I'm more than happy to let you know what the progress is.
We'll dive into that.
Okay.
So let's get back to the flat Earth here.
Yeah.
Is this Earth, is it rotating? Is it orbiting? Is it doing anything? Or is it just sitting there?
I'm going off of every text, every myth, every legend that I've read about. It is not doing anything. It is sitting fixed. Absolutely, and I don't want to quote the King James Bible too much, but a lot of the texts say the same thing, and that is fixed. It is immovable. It is put there. It is not rotating at all.
Is there any other proof besides these ancient texts?
If there was, I think we'd probably know it at this point. Oh, you mean as far as just people mentioning it? No. I mean, it's one of those things where everything that I looked at. Let's put it this way: I did not want it to be an enclosed system when I was looking at this. I initially had thought, like anything, because I didn't want to look at it because it was, again, it's ridiculous, it's ludicrous, it's insane. Yeah. Well, they are as of late. Again, a year ago, we wouldn't have been talking about this, and then for whatever reason, in 2015, it has really taken off. There's way more traction than I would have ever thought.
How do you suppose? Because of my show?
I think so. I think you're one of the reasons it's trending as we speak.
Oh, God, I'm trending. Oh, no.
Don't do that.
No, I mean, seriously, why is this now on people's radar? That's interesting in itself.
I don't know. I looked into it, last year for a good 9 months, and then sat on it for a while, and then earlier this year, just about the first part of last month, second week of February, I woke up in the middle of the night, and it was like I had the structure in my head, and I don't mean just the enclosed structure. I mean I had the narrative in my head. I had watched all the flat Earth stuff that was done by everybody. I looked at compilations and everything it was doing. And I was going, you know what? I think I could put out something that is clear, that is very easy to digest and that people can understand, because a lot of it sounded kind of staticky.
Yeah.
Not condemning any of the guys that did stuff out there. There was some good stuff, but I was looking for total clarity, which is why I went with a simple narrative and a slideshow. And I never would have thought, honestly, and I put it out there. I just did the first two. I did the introduction and the Flat Earth Clue 1. And for those that are listening, all you have to do is Google. You don't even have to go to YouTube now. Just Google Flat Earth Clues, and the whole screen will explode.
Oh, Oh, Frank, seriously? I have such a raging clue right now. I think we better follow it.
And after that, it just came to me every day. I knew the narrative. To the point where I had finished the intro and the first 7 in 8 days.
Right.
And got them up there, and then slowed down a little bit for the last ones. Tried to take a breath and step back and see what I was doing. But after they started coming out, a lot of people started putting out new stuff, and every day now, people are putting out new things, and they're digging into it more and more, and it is evolved from what was considered literally the laughing stock of the conspiracy world to now a very approachable subject, which I think is fantastic.
Let's back up a little bit, though, Mark, and talk about how you went from a job testing out video games to this line of work and sort of looking into the mysteries of civilization, as you say.
And then did some data mining and internet research for another 3 years after that. And it all kind of, I spent a lot of time online looking at a lot of stuff. And, went through the general garden variety, conspiracies we won't get into here. Everybody knows what they are. And this one, came across my desk every once in a while, like every other year. And I really didn't give it much credit, like anybody. I would either laugh at it or just roll my eyes and go next, and do the other, go back to this and that. And then for some reason, I got to the end of, I got through all the other conspiracy stuff, and I'm, just waiting. It was really literally like the book last book sitting on the shelf. And you're thinking, I'm not going to enjoy this at all. So, but I might as well just do it. This way I can say I did it. Maybe it was because I'd gotten a little older. So I looked in it, and then I started kicking myself, because the more I looked in it, the more I realized this was something I probably should have looked at a long time ago. And and again, the more I looked at it, the bigger it got, and the deeper it got, and the more loose ends and the threads that I kept tugging on, and more stuff kept coming, to the point where, for me, it became the final conspiracy, the last conspiracy. It puts all the others, to shame in scope and size. You can say what you want about, not knocking the other conspiracies.
Yeah.
There's some good conspiracies out there, right?
Oh yeah, there's the good ones. Yeah.
Some epic ones, but this thing's got teeth. It's got a lot to it, and
it condemns modern science really as well. I mean, you're talking about Copernicus, you're talking about Galileo, you're talking about Isaac Newton, you're talking about Kepler, Einstein. These are heroes.
There's motives here of protecting the status quo that and there's some really big decisions that have to be made. And honestly, if you're a science organization, and let's put it this way, from a government authority, from a government royalty / very rich and elite point of view, from a science standpoint, that has got to be one of the scariest thoughts. That's a thought that'll keep you up at night. They're going to hide it for as long as they can, and in everything that I've seen, this is not something that's been hidden for unnaturally.
Right. Well, on my other show, when I talked about the flat Earth, I had Eric Dubé on.
Oh, I didn't know you had Eric on.
I had him on. It was very interesting, and that was my first taste of the flat Earth. And he wrote a book called The Flat Earth Conspiracy, which I urge everybody to check out. I'm currently reading it right now. It's very dense, and my dumbed-down education hasn't given me enough syllables or comprehension, but I'm slowly wrapping my brain around it. Have you read that?
I have read parts of it, and actually I feel bad, because Eric and I know that there's a little bit of a rift out there, and I am trying to patch it up. He and I see eye to eye on a number of things when it comes, because he considers himself a flat Earth purist, which is totally cool. I'm totally with that. As long as it's anti-globe, I'm totally with him, and I like his work. He was out there before I was doing stuff, and I have literally nothing bad to say about his stuff. We do disagree on a few things. Is the moon 2-dimensional versus 3-dimensional? Issues about the stars and the planets and things like that. But everything
I'm sorry. I just want to interrupt, because he says that there's no way that they can even set foot on the moon. Like the moon
Yeah.
is translucent. Like you can see through the moon at different phases of the moon. And I don't really follow this myself, but you can see other stars.
Now, and again, I totally respect that theory, and his point is, you know, and I agree on this point with him, is that nobody can land on the moon because there's nothing to land on. From his point of view, literally, there's nothing to land on. Not only that, but you can't even there's nothing physical about the moon. For me, I consider the moon to be some sort of three-dimensional object that's being projected on. And, you know, if you want to look at stuff, and I know it's going to bug Eric for me to say this, but I got to mention it because it's really, really good moon footage. And that is, you know, look at Crow 777 on YouTube, his video, his high-definition video that he's been taking of the moon. It is really, really interesting stuff. It shows, it seems to show some flaws in the projection system. Now, whether that projection system is three-dimensional or two-dimensional, that is just, you know, splitting hairs between Eric and me. Regardless, yeah, absolutely right. You can't. There is no moon to land on. You know, if anything, you know, and the only difference, in my opinion, is that you might be able to hit it with a rocket, but you're not going to be able to land anybody on it.
He also says that the planets aren't planets at all; they're stars, and that they're not solid or gaseous or anything either. What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I go even one step further. I also believe, yes, that the planets are definitely not there, and they very well could be. I mean, for me, it's really more of an image system, where they're, you know, the stars are projected like the myths and the legends that go back thousands of years. It's just a giant, beautiful canopy that is also the most elaborate clock system ever built. You know, because, you know, the astrology program is based off of the movements of the stars. And when people say, are you trying to kill astrology? I say, absolutely not. I'm not trying to kill it. If you want to have an entire predictive system based off of the movements of the stars in the sky, you know, I'm just bringing the stars a whole lot closer. They're not light years away from me. They're way, way closer. And it makes it much more intimate. So, you know, I try to give it a positive spin and say, look, you know, they're your stars. You're not alone in the universe. They're your stars. It's your moon and your sun, literally. You know, they're not anybody else's.
It's an interesting perspective because, they also talk about, well, he and other flat earthers talk about, flat earthers, it sounds so bizarre. Anyway, talk about the moon and the sun being of the same size, and the sun, I mean, this episode of this show was mind-blowing for me. He was saying that the sun and the moon are the same size, and that the sun is only, and I wasn't clear on this number, 3,000, 4,000 miles away.
It's very, very possible. Absolutely possible. The sun definitely, you know, if you read your astronomy books, the sun is 92 million miles away. I can assure you it is not. It is way, way closer.
Well, he says this isn't just speculation. If you take a sextant, a nautical measuring instrument, that's all I know, really, and you can prove that it's only, that it's 32 miles wide and as big as the moon, and that it's only 3,000 to 4,000 miles from the Earth. Yeah. Have you looked into that stuff?
I have, and also, again, very possible. For me, you know, again, from a game design standpoint and a model standpoint, I would put it in a little closer than that. If the moon and the sun, you know, if he wants to say, and the other flat earthers want to say it's 3,000 miles away, great, fine. One of these days we'll prove it.
Yeah.
But but I think we're both on the same page, and that is, you know, the difference between, say, 300 miles and 3,000 miles is really not that much in the grand scheme of things. In a game simulation, gravity is whatever you make it. You know, gravity literally is a dial from 1 to 100, and you know you can do anything you want with gravity in a simulated system. But when you try to extrapolate it to a reality, you know, to where we are, it's tougher to explain to people. You know, when people say, well, what's gravity? You know, and it's like, well, even on a globe, gravity is confusing. Yeah. In an enclosed system, gravity is still confusing, but, and Eric and I, you know, again, differ on this, where Eric
I was going to bring that up.
He'll say it's a velocity-based thing, which is fine. You know, that's the natural reaction. You know, when you when you step on the gas pedal in a car, it throws you back into the seat. Hey, there's your G-force, there's gravity. But for me, if it's an enclosed system, I would go a little bit more efficient route and say that it was mechanical. You know, using some form of molecular magnetism, and then at that point you can do a lot more interesting things with gravity. But again, I'm not shutting down his thing, because neither of us can we're not going to know until we know.
Yeah.
But that's just how I would build it.
Right, and I hope sincerely for this idea that people come together and stop bickering. It seems like that happens a lot in this sort of 9/11 truth or conspiracy
again,
movement.
Why,
is that
and
you
I'm
have,
not going to.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
That you
no,
have.
no, go ahead.
That you have somebody will come out. They'll be on the same basic idea of what happened, and then they'll split hairs about how it happened, and then to the point where the person who's splitting the most hairs, shall we say, will say, well, that person doesn't want you to see, this far. They just want you to see this far. Like, how far does the conspiracy go, right? Well, it goes further. Yeah. You don't want to take it there because you're working for the system.
Exactly. And again, I am not going to fight anybody. I am not going to say anything bad about anybody. It's like, look, the message needs to get out regardless of the details.
So recently, Eric, you ousted the Flat Earth Society, which is a group that's been going for quite a while. You ousted them as controlled opposition, which I commend you for, because some of their beliefs within the model, I think, are very warped and sending people the wrong way. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, the Flat Earth Society was this organization that was created in 1970 by Leo Ferrari, who was this guy that never took the Flat Earth very seriously, and the people within the organization would often question whether he actually believed the Earth was flat at all. So, for instance, he would take a rock to all of his TV interviews, this big rock the size of a pumpkin, and he would say that he's just come back from the edge of the Earth, and he would describe this adventure where he lost his ship and all of his crewmen, and he was just about to fall off the edge as well, but he hung on to this rock, and it was this rock that saved him, and he brought it back to show everyone. And so he'd approach the Flat Earth subject with this kind of satire, though he'd also throw in some real Flat Earth arguments, and he'd talk about how, well, you can see with your senses that the Earth is not moving and that the horizon's always flat. And so he'd mix in a few genuine Flat Earth arguments, and then, meanwhile, with nonsense. And so the current Flat Earth Society, one of their claims that they make is that gravity is real. It does exist, which, again,
the flat Earth is rising up 9 meters a second or something.
Exactly. So they gave this false argument for gravity, saying that the Earth is actually constantly rising up, and that's why the effect of gravity is seen, but it's really just the Earth rising up. So an argument like this is easily proven false just by sustained flight. If that was actually happening, the Earth would crash into all planes and hot air balloons and helicopters and everything. So by presenting a argument that's so easily proven false and ridiculous and mixing it in with other Flat Earth information, which is legit, then
it
they
people
just...
the wrong way.
Sure.
This is their tactic. They do on everything. They mix truth with lies and smoke and mirrors, and you end up down a pit.
They threw me off. They threw me off the trail for a year or more when I first started questioning the Flat Earth. Of course, you Google it, and Flat Earth Society comes up for the first several, whatever you exactly. So
yeah, but you have questions like, Polaris. What about Polaris in a Flat Earth model? Or within this model, it's always the Flat Earth Society forums that come up, and when you go in there, the answers push you the wrong way. It's very clever.
Exactly. And I read their frequently asked questions that had this gravity explanation, and that, more than anything else, was what made me go, nope, forget that. There's nothing here, nothing to see here. Move on. And that's the effect they want you to have. They want to have.
There's another guy who's been doing quite a bit of work on Flat Earth recently, Mark Sargent. He's done the Flat Earth Clues series, which have gone quite viral, I think. You ousted him as a shill last week. Would you like to go into that a little bit, Eric?
Sure. I don't know if he is paid to do what he's doing, but he's certainly spreading disinformation and doing it in such an effective way that I'd be amazed if he didn't have a paid operation behind him. I mean, I'm doing everything I can to promote this idea with my boards, my articles, and my book, and my videos, and I'm really diligent, but I'm a one-man operation, and somehow this guy has come out of nowhere by himself, apparently, and his workload is literally twice mine. The number of interviews he's doing, videos he's putting out. When he first came out with his Flat Earth Clues, he had one video a day, well edited, high quality, sure, and now he's coming out with these long interviews with these radio people I've never heard of, just day after day, and he's pounding the same points over and over again. He's mixing in a few, same thing I just told you about the Flat Earth Society, he's mixing in a few good Flat Earth points, but then throwing in this litany of speculation and theorizing and anything but factual evidence, which is what we need at this point so that people understand
as I think a lot of his work's really good. Does that not mean he has given himself the platform to then theorise on some of his unknowns? Is he clear when he says, okay, this is now I'm speculating, now I'm theorising?
I wish he would be more clear about that, because he'll say the moon, stars, and planets are definitely not there. They are projections. They are holograms. So he'll make claims like this and then state them over and over again, interview after interview. He'll have a great interview, and then he'll send you to that Crow 77 whatever disinfo channel to have you thinking that everything's a hologram. And I questioned him about this.
You fall down a nihilistic pit, don't you? You fall into nihilism. Oh, nothing's real. It's all an illusion.
Sure. I questioned him about this, and I gave him all the evidence that the sun and moon are their own, shine with their own unique light, and how, like we were talking about earlier, that the moon is clearly a natural light in the sky, but he's saying it doesn't exist, it's not there, it's projected, it's a hologram. This is just one of the many disinfo points that Mark is putting into his video.
He's saying this isn't a theory or speculation, he's saying this is fact.
Well, this is the thing. When I presented to him all of the evidence counter to it, he responded to me on the forum. You can read it, and he said, "Of course, I don't have any evidence that the moon is a hologram," and he couldn't dispute what I was saying.
Prove it. Wait, if he's online talking about that, he should really say, "I am now speculating."
Exactly. It's fine if he wants to speculate and wonder about the things that Crow is filming. I wonder about it too. What is that line he's filming? Is that just in his video program? What's going on? That's fine as long as you're speculating. But he's not. He's stating it as fact. And then when I asked him for the evidence, he said, "Of course I have no evidence," but then continued stating it as fact.
I think I'm getting a clue. Really? Yeah, this is totally giving me a clue right now. Oh, I'm starting to get a clue too. My clue's kind of pointing this way. Oh, yeah, now I've got a total clue. I've still got a raging clue. My clue's pointing over there now. Oh, let's follow that clue.